Another week of AEW has come and gone. Last week, Tony Khan was getting lit up for his clearly poor or lazy booking. Personally, I think it's been both just bad booking and lazy booking. And that's why it's been so illogical most of the way over the past several months now, but certainly the past month. However, last night the ratings did bounce back. But that's pretty typical AEW, where for several weeks the ratings will falter more and more, and then they'll have a big week bump, and then the next week they're usually still kind of high, and then they kind of start falling again. But maybe they can keep some momentum off of this ratings. I don't see it happening because I don't think Tony Khan's booking has changed. I think Tony Khan went back to his usual well. He had an important announcement. At least he didn't call it a major announcement like he did for months and months and months about a year and a half ago. But I think that did have maybe a reason that the ratings had a spike. It also didn't have any big competition out of the NBA or the NHL. So it was a good Wednesday night for AEW. In the ratings, I don't think the booking got any better though. And instead of Tony Khan focusing on his product getting better, he spent the week being petty online against Ariel Helwani, who appeared in the WWE at Elimination Chamber in Montreal, because that's where Ariel Helwani is, and he appeared as on-screen talent, kinda, and they had a falling out, I guess, months ago, when Ariel interviewed Tony and couldn't get answers straight out of him, so he kind of buried Tony Khan for being a bad interview. I guess this was Tony Khan trying to get revenge on Ariel Helwani by saying he's in the WWE bag as far as journalists go, even though if you look at almost any of the dirt sheet writers, they are clearly in Tony Khan's bag for AEW. The amount of excuses the likes of Meltzer and Alvarez and that ilk make for AEW to pretend that things aren't that bad a lot of times is ridiculous. Of course, Dave Meltzer being the worst of that. He tries to defend everything AEW does. You could see him on Twitter, always constantly trying to defend AEW bad decisions. So I just was scratching my head wondering why Tony Khan was getting so petty instead of actually focusing on what is a stale product. I think AEW has become very stale for months now. It's gotten worse over the past month because all of the illogical booking kind of spiraled out of control. And of course the AEW diehards will pretend that's not the case. I still see them defending everything AEW does. When the truth is, most of us, not all of us, but most of us do want AEW to succeed because it can be a great product. And at times they have told a few compelling storylines, but none of the storylines lately are compelling. Please give me a break. The AEW diehards trying to pretend that over the past month AEW has had compelling storylines is it's either a lie or you're delusional. The word compelling does not work. They had some storylines, yes. They had a typical story between Moxley and Adam Page, where Adam Page wants revenge for his concussion. But I don't think that was compelling for long. It was at first, but then Adam Page beat Moxley. And instead of it ending there, they had another match, and then Moxley won that match, so now they have to have another match. That's not compelling stories. That's just booking wrestling matches because you're out of ideas for compelling stories. Now, I do like the fact that they're going to blow it off in a Texas death match. That's pretty classic. I think this would be more important or just better in general if Moxley wasn't bleeding every single week. It seems like every single match Moxley has ends up in some sort of Texas death match. So that kind of takes away from actually blowing off this feud in a Texas death match. You could blame Moxley for that, for this match it's gonna be a little lackluster. The care for this entire card of the pay-per-view is lackluster. The build to this event is lackluster because of the booking. I genuinely feel like Tony Khan, instead of fixing his issues, instead of giving a little change, trying to come up with something compelling, instead he's just trying to save face, because Tony Khan has gotten a lot of slack for recent pay-per-views booking matches at the last minute, and the matches not being booked for the card until like a couple of weeks, if not the week before the pay-per-view. So now Tony Khan is saying, hey, look, the matches are on the card weeks in advance, but that doesn't mean that it's good booking. It just means that, yeah, at least these matches are booked ahead of time, but he's not putting any compelling notion into these. I don't think he puts the time into these. I think it's either lazy booking or bad booking. The MJF and Bryan Danielson segment was good. They've probably been the best part of the show the last couple of weeks. At least the main event title storyline has picked up. I have had a lot more commenters shitting on MJF as a heel, him scraping the bottom of the barrel for cheap heat. MJF is definitely getting more and more pushback on that. And I said that for weeks now. Yes, MJF isn't quite working with the title. He hasn't leveled up to the next level. I just think the problem for MJF is he's been all over the place. And I've had commenters say, and I've said it too, that it's like he's trying too hard. He wants to be every different kind of villain in one, but it's lacking consistency now because we've seen him be all over the place. Is he just the really evil person who beat up William Regal after William Regal hurt him? Is he still the rich guy who doesn't care about the fans or what they think of him? Is he somebody that crashed a car and killed a person next to him, possibly his date, because she was sucking his dick? Is that why he's a terrible person? In Denver, back in December, at the end of December, he was up in the press box with a woman wrestler, I forget her name, she's out of Colorado, who's like a dominatrix type character. That didn't fit MJF's character. And then last night, he's talking about his real life breakup and how that's making him feel suicidal in some sort of attempt to make us feel sorry for him, which I see people saying, oh, that's MJF trying to gaslight us to feel sorry for him. And MJF was talking real about Bryan Danielson caring more about wrestling than his family, which I think is very real because of all the concussions Danielson has had. And I think MJF was trying to tie that to himself, saying he cares so much about this run with the title that it led to a real life engagement being broken off. But I think MJF's character's been all over the place. Being with the dominatrix didn't make sense. That promo about him crashing the car and killing someone doesn't really align with the character. It is coming across as trying too hard, just throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks. It's just typical AEW lately. I think nothing has really been working, and a lot of it just comes off very illogical, and that makes for a stale product. A lot of these podcasters and wrestling websites have been calling New Japan stale since COVID, and they've been very accurate about that. I've said that too on this channel, that New Japan was stale, especially without an audience from COVID. But if those same people now can't admit that AEW is currently very stale, then I think they are not unbiased journalists at all.